Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're looking after yourselves. Have you ever been given the wrong advice? Been told to expect one thing and experience the complete opposite? Well, we're here to address this. Each episode, we're going to be bringing on a guest speaker, whether they're a current Brunel student or an alumni, to discuss some assumptions that we've had on things or, things that we were told to expect and explain how this was completely different from what we went through. But don't worry, we're not going to leave it there. We're not going to leave you in the doom and gloom of confusion. We're instead going to be offering some personal tips and advice to you on how you can learn from your mistakes learn from our mistakes and our experiences. So to kick things off, I'd like to introduce our guest speaker. So hi Vic, how are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you for letting me be here. So I'm Victoria, and I'm Vice President of College of Health, Medicine and Life Sciences. So basically I'm a student representative working for Students' Union.
Oh, perfect. And yeah, no, it was really great to again have you on. At this point of recording, you can see that if you're an ample-eyed listener or watcher, I should say, you can see I'm still wearing the same Christmas jumper because we're sort of doing a back-to-back thing. But don't worry, you can check out Vic's earlier episode about the period campaign that she's doing at Brunel, and you can find out more about that, how you can support it, and things like that. By I never know which corner YouTube does it, but one of these corners you'll see like a nice fancy pop-up about it, so you can check it out there. But yeah, as I've mentioned, since our second episode, that the new thing that we're starting to do is we are trying to, essentially tell you things that you might not know about. Now, some of these things might be random things that, you had no idea existed, or no ideas. Like, on our previous one, we said that Jingle Bells, I'm not sure if you knew this, Vic, but Jingle Bells is not a Christmas song. Jingle Bells is not a Christmas song. It's originally a Thanksgiving song that essentially, because of its Christmas themes of winter and snow, it just basically merged into being a Christmas song.
That's actually insane. I didn't even know there were any Thanksgiving songs.
I had no. Apparently, I can include an article to it. So the Jingle Bells came out in, I think, the 1800s. So when it came out, it was released by a Christian school who wrote the song, and it was released in time for Thanksgiving. But then the thing is, I guess as the years went by, it's getting colder, talks about winter and Santa and all of this, sort of just magically somehow turned out to be a Christmas song without being about Christmas. And they just sort of like merged like that. So that's why, and I mentioned it before, that's why in the song, it never mentions Christmas, because it's not a Christmas song. It is, in fact, a Thanksgiving song. So yeah, you learned something again. But for this one, I'm going to talk about actually a Brunel thing. So, for example, if there is anyone out there who's interested in learning to be a freelancer, learning to start a business, looking for funding, things like that, the Entrepreneur Hub, great resource that you can use. I've used it myself as a student to help with the podcast. So that's why we've been trying new things, and I'm sure that you can see how they've helped. But also they do run funding competitions. So, for example, for only Brunel students and alumni, the Entrepreneur Hub run a competition called the Venture Competition, which is essentially it's got a pot of £10,000 that successful winners can get funding for a business idea. Now, I know what you're thinking. You have to be like an expert. You have to have like a massive team and all of this. No, you don't. There are workshops that essentially help you with the business model canvas. You have to do a video pitch, so it helps you to, what can you do in your video pitch? How can you come across like really engaging in 2 minutes? So yeah, please do check out the Entrepreneur Hub. And if you're interested in the competition, check that out as well. It will, hopefully, there'll be a link in the link below, description below. But if not, you can check out the Entrepreneur Hub by typing in Brunel Entrepreneur Hub on Google. But yeah, we're going to go back, we're going to go over to the episode. Now, this episode is all about, so no one told you about how to make the most out of uni. And as you can see, we're both students. We're both still at Brunel. Still surviving. We haven't failed, so which is good. But we're going through and enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. Are you enjoying it?
Yes, mostly.
To be honest, that's fair enough. It can be tough, and we've spoken about, in our previous episodes about, the toughness that can come from living away from home or living on campus sometimes. But yeah, we're going to talk about how can you make the most out of university. So we're going to start off with our first assumption, which is you can only join. So certain societies, you can only join them if they're related to you. So, for example, if you are, let's say, Nigerian, you can only join the Nigerian society. I can't join Portuguese society or the Italian society or the North African society. Now, Vic, did you feel, was that an assumption that you had when you came to university, that you couldn't join any society?
I think so. I think it's changed once I joined Polish society and I realized that we still speaking English because half of the people that come to the meetings aren't Polish, which is honestly great. I think union with like the whole One Brunel project is all about, learning about cultures. Whenever you hear an alumni or a current student, like, what's the best about Brunel? It's the diversity of people you can meet. So it would be kind of silly of us to not allow that to happen.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's true. I think when you sort of go into uni, we sort of joked about it in the previous episode that, you have this assumption of, uni's like the American films, there's so many societies, you've got time to party and you don't have to worry about exams. What exams? But yeah, it's obviously university is very different from the films and the TV shows. And kind of like what you said, I think especially for me as well, I was the exact same of, I thought, like the only society, even if it wasn't like the only ones I could join, the only ones that I would really enjoy would be like societies related to me. So whether it was like the Afro-Caribbean Society or the Nigerian Society, and the other societies, if I tried to join them, I wouldn't enjoy them, or, I wouldn't be accepted. But like you said, the reality of that is that it's not the case. You can join as many societies as you like. You can even create one. I didn't do it in the end. That's what I'm fun about. So let's play a story of I wanted to create a dodgeball society in my first year because I'm a massive dodgeball fan. I thought I was very good when I did. I used to play it outside of uni with the Air Cadets I was a part of, and I thought I was pretty good. But yeah, I thought, why not create a society as well? So that's what I learned about. You actually can create a society. You just need to meet certain criteria and do certain things, but you can go out of your own and create societies. But yeah, even if you don't want to create one, you want to join one, there's a plethora of societies out there that you can join. And the great thing is they're not even just cultural or sports clubs. There's the Sci-Fi Society, Game Design Society, Environmental Science Society. There's like a whole wide range of societies for your passions and your culture. And even if you want to get involved in sports too. So yeah, so I'd say, I guess, sort of linking to that, Vic, what society? I know you mentioned the Polish Society, but are you part of any other societies?
I'm part of Cold Film Society,
nice.
Which is obviously about film. The Cold, I don't really know where is that from. I was part of Book Society as well, and yeah, I think that's it for me. Work. But yeah, I think I recently found out because of the like a collaboration with one of the societies I'm in, that there is a Lego Society, which is great. And I know there used to be like a Chill Society. I think it's forming again, so that's exciting. Yeah. So yeah, I think what you just said. You can make a society about anything, really.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I think I don't know if it's still at Brunel, because I've heard people talking about it, but there also was a meme society that was out there. They might still be there. They might even be watching right now. But yeah, there was a meme society. So you can do a society on anything that you want. And yeah, I guess you mentioned books, and we'll go to the advice in just a minute, but can I ask, what is your favorite film and your favorite book? And if they're the same?
They're not the same. I don't. Okay, so for the book, my first thought is a Bulhakov, Master and Margarita.
Okay.
And then for favorite film, this is very rough.
Okay.
Like very rough to answer. I think there's too many.
There's too many. Can I ask top three? They don't even need to be, the top three doesn't need to be in like, this is my best, this is my second best, and this is my third best. It can literally just be these three are films that I could watch. I would love to watch again for the first time.
Okay, so not very high art, but Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
I think I've watched them so many times that I think I couldn't just not mention them. I really like The Favorite. That's quite new. And another new one, Call Me By Your Name. And this is not my top three, but they came to my mind, so I must like them.
Oh, nice. And I definitely agree. And Lord of the Rings, we do have, and I'll give a plug to them. Joshua and Morgan do run our Two Maesters things on all things high fantasy, and they do talk about Rings of Power. How that season went is their latest episode. But yeah, we could talk about that. You never know. So coming soon. But yeah, no, that's really interesting. And links to the advice of attend Freshers Fair. I think especially if you're a new student, Freshers Fair, even if you're not, like I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna be honest, there have been plenty of times where after my first year, I went back to Freshers Fair because it's a really nice way for you to learn about what societies are there for that academic year. But it's also really nice for you to sort of like also, I won't lie, the freebies are great. I still use them today. But it's also nice to sort of like see kind of like what you were mentioning before, Vic, about, meeting people and, doing new things with societies that's a really great way to make the most out of uni, because Freshers Fair, like especially if you're a first year, every other first year is there. You can go to a stand and someone else might come up to a stand you're interested in and they might be like, you're at the sci-fi table, like you're really into Marvel. So am I. I can tell by your Marvel shirt. Like I know it wasn't a Freshers Fair, but like randomly, I'm a massive gamer. Well, these guys probably know from my from the Game On segment. But yeah, I love gaming, and there was a student who was literally just walking around campus, and he had a Mass Effect. If anyone's watching knows Mass Effect, like it's the N7 logo, and I just saw him and I was like, I just went over to him and said, hey, like, hope you're well, but like, I really like the shirt. And he was like, oh yeah, cool. And I was just like, we literally just spoke about the game for like 5 minutes. He might not remember me, but I just thought it was really cool. And I think that's the really cool thing about Freshers Fair. You get to learn about societies. You also get to meet the committee, who most of the time, sometimes they might be first years like you. Sometimes they might study the same course. They might be able to give you advice. They might have done other things you want to do, like a placement or whatever. So yeah, I think that's a really good thing. Yeah, do you have any other pieces of advice you'd like to offer me?
Yeah, I think Freshers Fair is amazing, and because I feel like, well, at least I was this person. It's so scary to like go to society and that like, oh, there is a committee, there is a group of people already. They know each other. They've been together for a year or two, whatever. And so it's so hard to get yourself out there for this first meeting when you come into the room and everyone's just like tense, and you're like, oh my god. And I think Freshers Fair is where you see that they just know people that are so excited for you to come.
Exactly.
And I think another advice is first year, obviously do it because it will help you a lot, but it's never too late to join any society or any sports club. Whatever day you come in, they will be happy that there's another person. They will invite you to their socials. There's honestly, I think with all the student-led clubs, it's just such an amazing atmosphere, and it's never too late.
Yeah, and I think even to add to that, there's never also, I think, because from maybe more of a sports society or sport club element, there might be that pressure of if I want, like I might be really interested in football, but I'm gonna have to play as the university against other universities, and it's like that's not the case.
No,
it's up to you if you want to compete. If you want to just kick a ball, you just want to enjoy football with a group of people who like football, then yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, I think the really good way to think about this is the Frisbee Sports Club, which is like, you'd think it's just for fun and it's a normal thing to do, and most people don't do it professionally. But if you actually see people doing it professionally, it's insane. But obviously, most people who are in there aren't on that level at all. So yeah, and the biggest like football sports club have so many teams that like you will always find people your level, and you can go up absolutely, but you don't ever have to be amazing. You can just enjoy it.
Exactly. And I think that's really important. And then it sort of links to our next assumption. Now, the reason why I laugh at this is because, we've got someone from the union here who already knows that this assumption isn't true. And this assumption was essentially the union doesn't host any events relevant to me. Now, when I say to me, I'm not talking about me specifically as Jeffrey. I'm talking about the average student might think, the union aren't going to be hosting any events that relate to whether it's things I like, whether it's to, like we mentioned in the previous episode about campaigns, anything like that. Now, obviously, is that, I know the answer, but Vic, is that the case?
Not at all. It's not the case at all. Obviously, because I think union is all about getting students' voice and then doing what they want, then, you would be very, very unlucky to not get at least a couple of students that would want the same thing the same thing as you do. So like lots of cultural celebrations with, the one Brunel, which is just like celebrating other people's religions, cultures, and all of that. And as you mentioned, campaigns as well, they are so specific. Well, they can be very specific, but they touch a lot of people usually, because what we want to do is to, not just do something for ourselves, but to help or make the most students happy as we can. So,
yeah, I definitely agree. And I feel like sort of linking to that, and you mentioned Mon Brunel. I know when that sort of campaign started, the first, I'm pretty sure they've still done it since, but the first thing that they did was they just asked societies, like, if you're interested, you can take your cultural flag and you can walk. And they literally walked up and down campus. They were playing music. Like, there were people on stilts and everything. And it's kind of like we said, it's that diversity that's great. And as you mentioned, whether it's the societies, whether it's the union, there are a plethora of, or wide variety of events that you could attend. And there's, in typical fashion, you might not necessarily like all the karaoke Tuesdays or things like that. But there will be an event throughout the whole year or like we mentioned, a campaign that you are interested in and you want to get engaged with. So that sort of links to the reality is that while you might not be interested in every event, there's a wide range of events held throughout the whole year. And the advice for that is check out the website. The union always update it. They always post about it as well on social media as well. But yeah, there's always something going on. And, that I could show you guys now that there's a plethora of stuff that you've already got planned for the rest of this term. And I'm pretty sure you guys are working on whatever's going to be happening next term as well. So yes, that's really, really good.
Yeah, I think definitely get Instagram and get Brunel students follow us, because we're trying to post our stuff on posts and in reels. And really, if you just look at it, there's 3 different things happening every week, and you will just find something that you like, and something that other people like. So that's a really good way to make connections as well, which I think is crucial for student experience.
Yeah, definitely. And I think sort of links to that, the title of making the most out of uni, because I'm not saying that academics aren't important. Please don't quote me on that. But I'm also saying that, the university experience, and I think especially on a personal level for me, was that I know, I think that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do a placement year for both my undergrad and my postgrad was, so in my second year of my undergrad sort of was getting to the point of, coming to the placement option and deciding where you want to do it. And I was just I enjoyed my first year at uni. So I enjoyed my second, but I actually do want to go out and try something. I want to go out and, have the uni experience. And, my placement opened a lot of doors for me. I met a lot of great people, some of them, like I mentioned, Samuel, I only would have probably met through through my placement. I didn't know him before. Actually, to be honest, anyone on the team, I didn't really know before. So it's a great thing to do. But then also for my postgraduate, that was one of the things that I wanted to do as well, because I felt especially because COVID impacted, I was on placement when COVID happened. Then when I came back for third year, we still had the crazy amounts of lockdowns and the confusing zones and all that. So then when I did my master's, there was still, a lot of concern about COVID, but then sort of towards the end, things have eased up, as you can sort of see now. And I feel like that's why I did it, because I was just like, you know what, I want to, I want to develop professionally, but I guess the real reason would be that, I want to, I've still got an extra year. I don't necessarily want to, I know there are people, and the person who suggested this might be watching, but I know there are people who want me to do like a PhD and stuff, but I think I wanted to have another year of uni where I'm not concerned about assignments, I'm not concerned about deadlines, but I can enjoy, yes, I'm working, but I can enjoy being a student at the same time and engage in stuff. And I think that's so important to the university experience.
Yeah, definitely. I actually feel really similar to, because I'm doing this role as my placement.
Oh, nice.
And it's the same for me, because I have to work alongside my study, and now, my placement is paid. I'm privileged to have that. So now I have all the evenings free, and I can do so much more. And yeah, I think especially after COVID, it means so valuable to be able to just go anywhere and chat to people. Yeah,
no, I definitely agree. And we've come. I might add another assumption, because there's one. I guess there are some things that I haven't touched on just yet. But the next assumption that we've got is that the university doesn't have any resources that can help students professionally. So. Support my professional development was one aspect, but also my health. So whether this is my physical health, my mental health, it can't do that. Now, we haven't, Vic, societies can help you. But yeah, was that an assumption that you had, Vic?
Yes, definitely. I come from Poland, and the higher education there looks very, very different. I would say worse, but don't come after me, Poles. Although everyone who is here probably would agree. There's very little support for students in any, you're just expected to do everything yourself. If you have mental health issues, that's not the reason for you to miss a lecture. And that's, even if you have a note from a doctor, even if you're on medication, whatever, they still don't take it seriously. And so then the same with professional, you're just it's your thing to do yourself. So I was just assuming it's going to be the same here. And I think just through getting in this role, I actually find out how much there is, how much help there is for you to actually, get better at your course and everything. And a lot of those resources, if not all, are free as well, which is...
Yeah, and I think that's true. You mentioned the resources, and that's the reality of the situation is, there were a wide variety of resources available to students that they might not necessarily know about. So, to list some, the PDC, so the Professional Development Centre, that help with placements, they help with career choices for recent graduates, summer internships, if you're looking for part-time work, they do a lot. And especially one thing, I guess that could have also been the thing that students don't know, but one thing that students, especially graduates, don't know is that that's open to you for up to 3 years after graduating. So you can book an appointment at the PDC. It can be in person or online or a telephone or email, and they will review your CV. They will review your cover letter. They will give you employment advice. You can talk about, where you professionally want to go and how you can get there and things like that. So that's a really good thing, especially on the professional side of things. There's student well-being, which, to be honest, I actually didn't know about until I did my undergrad placement. Because I'd never, I'm just trying to brag. I did have times when things were tough at uni, but I didn't know that, especially like you said, it's a free resource, where I'm not trying to insult mental health resources, but some of them can be quite expensive, or some of them aren't necessarily easily accessible in the sense that they're not, on campus or things like that. but like I didn't know that student wellbeing did a lot of stuff for students. I didn't know there was something we could use. I didn't even know where they were until I just started this placement a couple of literally almost a month ago. So literally, I think that's a great thing as well for students to check out, because they do. You can go to them, you can talk about what's going on. If there's an issue that you think will need, if it's like affecting your studies and you essentially need more, you'll need more than just like a bit of a break. You might need to take an absence from the university for a year or things like that. They'll be able to support you with that, and they're really great. Physical health, there's the gym on campus that not a lot of people know about. They don't know it's accessible to them. There is a membership.
And there is also female-only gym, which is really good, because I know that a lot of people really care about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I think, again, I didn't even know that. So it's one of those things where you need to just look for these resources. Not necessarily actually, I would say, if you're on campus, especially if you live on campus, go and explore. There's a lot of, there's no one's going to tell you off, but there's a lot of things you can check out on campus that you might not know exist. And even like I said here, we've got the medical center that students don't know that they can use. There's the Entrepreneur Hub that I mentioned as well. There's loads that I could list on. Oh, yeah, sorry. I should also mention them. There's Ask as well that I know do a lot of work. And I didn't, it was only through my course that I found out about Ask. But I knew friends who, whether it was on their course or through their studies, never heard of Ask. But they do so much work to help you with like the amount of talks they do in a year on different stuff is so useful for students.
Yeah, I love Ask. I think because obviously we have a lot of international students, and for example, Ask for me with all the advice that they give in terms of academic writing, that helps so much, because I can write my assignment alone, but then I wanted to have fancier words in and stuff like that, and that's so valuable. And I think a huge part of what I really like that they do is statistics, because I know especially in Chimals, a lot of people struggle with that. And I remember before I knew that they existed, I was like, oh, I'll have to now pay for extra lessons because I need to catch up. But no, you don't.
Exactly. No, definitely agree. And 100% statistics.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I definitely agree. And that's why, the advice or lesson learned is check out these resources and utilize them, especially the ones, both on the same level of, especially if you're a graduate, use the ones that you've got access to for 3 years, because like I said, the venture competition I mentioned at the start, as long as you're an alumni, up to 3 years of graduating, you can apply. And even better, you can apply every year. So for example, if you graduated this year, come the upcoming July, so July 2023, you can then apply until July, I think 2027 is when would be the end. That's a lie. Sorry, July 2026. But yeah, you can apply for as long as you want. So yeah, I definitely recommend, if you're a graduate, to check out the resources that you've got for 3 years, because after those 3 years, they're unfortunately gone. But if you're a student, I definitely recommend using the ones that are available to you now, because kind of like Vic was saying, they're not paid. You don't have to pay for them. They're free. They're free resources that are available to you as a student. So feel free, check out some of these resources. Go for a walk around campus, get a campus map out. Look, go for the scenic route, and check out these resources. Now, I did mention, and I'll sort of throw Vic in the deep end here, because it was something that she mentioned that I thought was really important to talk about, which was, you mentioned the I guess when it comes to making the most of the university experience, there's no time that ends. And I guess that is an assumption that it wasn't on the list before, but it is now. And that idea of once, especially I think for students who, depending on their background or the way that they study, they sort of feel like, oh, I have to, when they're at uni, there will never be, especially if they miss it in first year, they're just there'll never be another opportunity for me to actually go out and go to, whether it's union events, go out to the venue, do all of these, go to nightclub events, do this and do that. But yeah, that's obviously not the case, as you mentioned.
It's not, and I can definitely relate to people who feel that way. I think I sometimes think that I wasted my first year, because I was really anxious. It was a new country. Everything was scary. I didn't know anyone on the whole island. And so, I missed the Freshers Week completely. And I was looking for a job. I just, was too scared to get to meet people. And then I felt like it's too late to go there now. But I think just by starting a job in the union, which is also another thing that is great. We have a job shop where you can work on campus. And then just meeting one person, meeting second person, going to societies. And then you can see that actually all those people aren't scary and they're really happy to be friends with you. And a lot of people in those groups that sometimes can look like, oh, I could never be as confident as them and, be as loud or whatever. In every group, there are different kinds of people and you can fit in so many of them. And I think it can be really, really scary to push yourself for the first time to go to a sports club or society or an event. But I think most of the time it's really worth it.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. And I think kind of like what you mentioned there, because I think, well, no, it's not even, I think when I came, so I didn't take a break between my undergrad and my master's, I went straight into my master's. And I feel like what you were mentioning was in my first year, I sort of went to a few society events, didn't go to too much. Second year was sort of the same. And then my plan, and obviously COVID got in the way, so this didn't happen. But my plan was that, my third year, I wanted to make it, because like you said, I was doing a placement at Brunel. So that meant that most of the time I was on campus anyway. So I was just like, I want to make this year, I mean, the audience know, but I should probably tell Victor, like I wasn't living, so I've never lived on campus. So for me, if there's something started at 10, I'm just like, there's no point in me coming. But I think for me, that my placement year was the year I was just like, actually, I want to engage more with stuff that goes on at Brunel, because I want to actually be like, because kind of like what you said, after you graduate, unless you come back and study again, but even if you do study again, the level that you're studying might not necessarily mean that you've got the same time as you did before, as I learned with my master's. And I think that's one of the things that, you sometimes feel like. And I think because COVID happened and then like things didn't ease up until my master's, I was already in the mindset of, I just want to study, do the exams, get and graduate. And then I think it was just like coming to the end of the last academic year that I was just like, actually, I still feel like there's a lot I want to do at Brunel. There's a lot of things I've never done as a student. I think it also didn't help that, not trying to insult Brunel banter, because I really do like the page. But it was like they had like a bingo that came out ages ago about like things that like most Brunel students had done. And I think it was like looking at that, I was like, wow, actually, there wasn't that many things that I'd actually taken part in. And I feel like for me, that was what I wanted to do. I wanted to use this academic year, I guess, so to speak, to go out and try new things and, go to society events, go to the events held at the venue, do karaoke night, do all of this to just sort of take that first step. And I think that's something even in a broader sense that I'm trying to do of, I think kind of like what you said, COVID impacted a lot of people in a lot of different ways. And I think it definitely made me sort of close in a bit. But I do want to sort of spend, and I guess it's not the new year, but my new year, in a sense, resolution, or the thing I want to start doing more, trying new things. Like you said, putting yourself, I'm not saying everyone has to go in the deep end and put yourself extremely out of your comfort zone. No, I completely understand that, you might just want to, occasionally do it. So like you said, going to like a society event and maybe speaking to at least one person, or like, I don't know, going to a union event held in the venue, and you might be like, oh, I'm gonna stay there for like, if you're on campus, maybe like 30 minutes or an hour, and see how it goes. And then eventually it'll just become second nature because you'll get so comfortable with it. So I guess that would be the advice that I've got for that. But yeah, all things must come to an end, and it is the end of today. So, thank you for being an amazing guest speaker, for telling us more about how some of the things that no one told us about how to make the most out of uni. Speaking.
Thank you so much. I'm sure that Jimmy would love to listen to this. and your whole series with it. And yeah, thank you for inviting me. It's really, really nice.
No, thank you. And thank you to our wonderful audience. Because I think kind of like what you mentioned there, Vic. I feel like this would, like you said, it would have been nice to have this in first year. Someone telling you the things that you can really do to sort of make the most out of uni. Who knows, would have maybe saved me the money I've spent on my masters. But in all seriousness, it is kind of nice to learn more about getting the most out of uni, because I think especially when you think about how long you're there, even if you just do an undergrad, that's a minimum of 3 years. And to be there for 3 years and then you come out of it and you're sort of just like, well, actually, I would have loved to have done this, and this. Kind of like what we said, when you graduate, that's sort of closed off. So to have those opportunities, and like I said, to hear the advice that you've got, I'm sure our audience will truly appreciate it. So thank you. And like I said, thank you to you, our wonderful audience, for coming back for another episode. If you like this episode, a like and comment and subscribe is always appreciated and cherished by us as the team. If you want to know when the next episode is coming out, just click the notification bell at the bottom of the video so you don't miss it. And finally, if you're interested in supporting the podcast, if you are interested in receiving some perks as well, then please do check out our Patreon page. But yeah, wishing you all the best. This probably will come out, I don't know, I haven't planned to do a recording before Christmas, so in advance, wishing you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Hope you enjoy your time off if you're a uni student. Hope you enjoy your time off if you're working, because we've got some bank holidays in there as well. And yeah, we'll see you all the next time when we learn something new that no one told us. So thank you very much, and bye for now.